Mercedes just got caught, and the FIA is coming after them, hard. Because what they found inside the M17 engine was never supposed to exist in Formula One. A thermal trick, invisible during inspection. But under race conditions, it turns the engine into a completely different machine. More power, less fuel, and a boost worth up to 0.4 per lap. That's over 20 seconds per race. And now, the FIA has reopened the investigation, just days before Bahrain. Here's the crazy part. This wasn't discovered by a rival team. It was flagged by an FIA engineer, someone who helped approve the engine months ago. And what he found points to a hidden compression spike, triggered by heat-based metal expansion. Translation? When the engine gets hot, it changes shape on purpose, increasing pressure, increasing speed, while staying technically legal. But not for long. Because if the FIA proves intent, Mercedes could face an immediate ban. No appeal, no delay, just disqualification. The paddock is in chaos. Ferrari is demanding action. Audi wants the engine stripped down in front of cameras. And Toto Wolff? He's threatening legal war. This could end in court. It could end in scandal. Or it could end with Mercedes out of the championship before the first race even begins. And the most shocking detail? The real reason the FIA launched this new investigation hasn't been made public yet. But we found it. And once you hear it, you'll understand why this isn't just about an engine. It's about who really controls Formula One. Stay with me, because what happens next could change the future of the sport forever. It started in Barcelona. Private testing. No broadcast. No commentary. Just raw data. Collected quietly, and reviewed even more quietly. On the surface, everything looked normal. Mercedes showed up with confidence. Completed over 1,100 laps. No breakdowns. No red flags. And no obvious reason to worry. But that's what made it suspicious. Because every other team, Ferrari, Honda, Audi, even Red Bull, had issues. Cooling problems. Energy deployment failures. Engine instability during long runs. But Mercedes? They looked too clean. Too perfect. And when engineers from other teams got access to telemetry samples, especially sector-by-sector thermal behavior, something strange appeared. Mercedes' combustion chamber temperatures were flat. Unusually flat. Even under full load, even during race simulations in high heat conditions, there were no spikes. No compression variance. No thermal degradation over time. That doesn't happen. Not in real-world racing. Not with a brand new engine. So teams began comparing notes. Looking deeper. Searching for the one thing that could explain the impossible. And they found it. Buried deep in the data was a thermal curve pattern. That made no logical sense. Every 17 laps, the engine showed a subtle surge. Higher torque. Lower fuel flow. More electric boost recovery. But no change in throttle. It was as if the engine had learned when to give more power, without being told. That's when alarm bells went off. Because there's only one explanation for that kind of behavior. Metal deformation under heat. It means parts of the engine were designed to physically expand during the race, shifting the internal pressure, altering the combustion timing, and triggering more power, without triggering any rules. At first, it looked like genius. Now, it looks like manipulation. And one FIA engineer, who was part of the engine homologation months ago, decided to double-check the old approval documents. What he found is what forced the FIA to act. Because the original certification never accounted for heat-based variable geometry. It wasn't listed, wasn't tested, wasn't approved. Mercedes had declared a fixed structure, but the data from Barcelona suggests the structure is adaptive. That's not just a loophole, that's a violation. And now, what was once a quiet test has become the opening scene of a full investigation. The moment the FIA confirmed the data, they went silent. No press releases, no interviews, no public clarification. Just one thing. An internal directive labeled red level, technical risk. In plain English? That means immediate containment. The first move was simple. Activate the Geneva Analytics Lab. Bring in the same team that handled the 2019 Ferrari fuel case. Only this time, they weren't looking for fuel flow violations. They were looking for thermal intent, design choices, chemical patterns, material expansion properties. And the target was the Mercedes M17 engine. The one sitting in a locked transport container. Still sealed. Still untouched since Barcelona. By the end of that same day, the FIA made their second move. Emergency protocol, Bahrain. The race is only days away. And if the investigation isn't complete by then, they need leverage. So the FIA has prepared an aggressive new system. More sensors, more control, and a brand new rule quietly inserted into the inspection process. Conditional teardown clause. For the first time in modern Formula One, the FIA can now demand a full engine strip, without team consent, if mid-race data suggests hidden dynamic behavior. That means if the numbers in Bahrain look suspicious, the FIA can stop everything, on the spot, and dismantle the car. And that's not all. They've also restructured the Bahrain paddock, built closed access zones for inspection, restricted media flow around technical trucks, assigned senior compliance officers to follow the Mercedes power unit, from crate to car, without ever letting it out of sight. This isn't racing anymore. This is containment. And Mercedes knows it. Toto Wolff has already made contact, requested legal observers, demanded written guarantees, and warned the FIA directly. Change the rules retroactively, and we will respond. That's not a bluff. That's the opening line of a war. And the FIA is stuck, because the investigation isn't finished. But Bahrain can't be delayed, and every team on the grid is waiting to see what they do. If the FIA blinks, they lose authority. If they act too soon, they risk legal retaliation. And if they do nothing, they'll be accused of corruption. No matter what they choose, the next 48 hours will define the entire 2026 season. And the one thing they didn't expect? Ferrari, Audi, and Honda are about to force their hand. The paddock doesn't usually work like this. 3 manufacturers, multiple rival teams, one shared enemy. But this time, they've aligned. Ferrari started it. They were the first to flag the anomaly in Barcelona, the first to request thermal reviews, the first to quietly ask the FIA, what exactly did Mercedes get approved? When no answer came, they went straight to Audi. And Audi didn't hesitate. They had already tried, and failed, to replicate the same compression behavior in their own simulations. And what they found made it worse. The effect wasn't natural. It wasn't just clever engineering. It was built around a material profile, designed to deform under specific race temperatures. They knew what it meant. And so did Honda. By the time the Barcelona test ended, those 3 names, Ferrari, Audi, Honda, had already agreed on the next move. They weren't going to protest before Bahrain. They were going to let Mercedes run. Let them race. Let them show their pace. Let the engine perform exactly as it was designed. Because the real attack comes after the checkered flag. Here's how it works. Each manufacturer is collecting its own data. Trackside temperature logs, battery recovery deltas, combustion pressure anomalies recorded via satellite-linked sensors. It's not just engineering. It's surveillance. And the moment the Bahrain race ends, if the Mercedes engine shows even the slightest unexplained power behavior, they'll act. Together. A joint technical protest, filed in real time, demanding one thing: a complete, public teardown of the M17 engine, on-site, with independent observers, and every measurement recorded under full media scrutiny. If the FIA agrees, Mercedes could be exposed. If the FIA refuses, the protest goes to the International Court of Appeal. And if it reaches that level, the documents will go public. The approval process, the simulation reports, the ignored warnings, everything. This isn't just about engines anymore. This is about who the FIA protects. And why. And the rival teams know something else. If Mercedes fights back too hard, too early, with legal threats and corporate posturing, it will only make them look guilty. That's the trap. Let Mercedes run. Let the FIA delay. Let the scandal build itself. Then deliver the final blow. When it matters most. In front of the world? After the first race? When no one can walk it back. And the most dangerous part? The FIA might already know it's coming. But at this point, they can't stop it. Toto Wolff hasn't said much. Not publicly. But make no mistake. He's already in motion. Because Toto doesn't wait for protests. He prepares for war. And inside Mercedes, the engines aren't the only things heating up. The team has activated what they call Red Protocol. A crisis-level response. Reserved only for legal threats to the championship. It starts with law firms. One in London. One in Munich. Another in Geneva, specialized in international sporting arbitration. They're not just reviewing the engine specs. They're going through the FIA's own documentation. Looking for weak spots. For inconsistencies. For any language that proves the engine was approved as presented, in full knowledge of its behavior. If they can prove that, any retroactive action becomes illegal. a violation of procedural fairness, and grounds for a full appeal in the Court of Arbitration for Sport. But that's just the surface. Behind the legal team, Mercedes has also triggered a second plan, one that goes beyond courts and straight into the political heart of Formula One. Because Wolff isn't just team principal, he's also a shareholder, with direct connections to Liberty Media, and a seat at the table where power actually shifts. If the FIA overreaches, if they so much as hint at banning the engine based on public pressure, Wolff will call it what it is: political interference. And if that happens, he's prepared to do what no one thinks he will: suspend all factory development, pull the M17 from further updates, and demand a full investigation into the FIA's governance. That's not just defense. That's a nuclear deterrent. It sends one message: touch this engine, and we burn the season down with it. And the FIA knows the threat is real. Because this isn't 2019 anymore. Mercedes isn't Ferrari. This isn't a quiet compromise behind closed doors. This is a legal, financial, and political bomb, ticking louder with every passing day. But here's what makes it even more dangerous. Toto doesn't need to win the case. He just needs to stall it. Long enough for the championship to move forward. Long enough for the car to race. Long enough for points to be scored. Because once that happens, any disqualification becomes retroactive. Any ban becomes controversial. And the narrative shifts from cheating to victim of sabotage. That's how Mercedes plays. Not for headlines. Not for sympathy. But for control. And if Bahrain goes their way, the scandal won't disappear. It will grow, alongside their points lead. Officially, the FIA speaks with one voice. But internally, that voice has already split in two. Because ever since the investigation reopened, there's been one quiet question no one dares ask publicly. Who approved the engine, and why wasn't it caught? And the answer? Might be worse than the scandal itself. Sources close to the FIA technical department have confirmed that the M17 engine's heat-reactive structure was never fully evaluated under race conditions. Not because it was hidden, but because it was rushed through. Back in December, just weeks before the final homologation deadline, Mercedes delivered a complete revision of its combustion model. It included dozens of new parts, revised pressure maps, and a full justification of thermal compliance. But the timeline was tight. The review team was understaffed, and the lead inspector, a veteran of over 15 years, was on medical leave. So instead of a full inspection, the homologation was granted provisionally. A formal green light, with no thermal simulation audit attached. It was meant to be reviewed after Bahrain, not before. Now that decision is coming back to destroy them. Because two camps have formed inside FIA headquarters. One group, mainly senior engineers, want to freeze the case, delay public action, buy time, finish testing in silence, and protect the integrity of the approval process. But the other group, driven by legal advisors and external pressure, wants immediate action, a full public teardown, and an official acknowledgement that the approval was a mistake. One side is trying to preserve trust. The other is trying to survive a cover-up. And at the center of it all sits FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem. He's already been criticized this season for slow reactions, inconsistent decisions, and a growing sense that the FIA is out of touch with the sport. Now, with Mercedes under investigation, he faces a choice that could define his legacy: protect the process and risk looking corrupt, or punish Mercedes and admit the FIA failed. Neither outcome is safe, and both could tear the sport in two. Because if Mercedes is cleared too easily, Ferrari and Audi have already hinted they may walk away from the FIA's engine advisory board. And if Mercedes is punished unfairly, Toto Wolff will make sure every legal tool available is brought to the courtroom. The FIA is out of time, out of options, and out of room for error. The next decision they make might be the one they never recover from.